So today we're going to start talking about how to put German sentences in the past tense. And German, just like English, has two forms of the past tense. We have the simple past and the present perfect. If you notice the chart below, you can see the difference. The infinitive of to see, the simple past is saw. The present perfect is have seen. Talk, talked, have talked. Speak, spoke, have spoken. Drive, drove, have driven. In German, the present perfect is used for speaking, and the simple past is used for writing. So if you're speaking to someone, you're going to use the present perfect. If you're reading a newspaper or a book, that's going to be in the simple past. The first thing we have to do when we start this is we have to decide, is a verb strong or is it a weak verb? So strong verbs, weak verbs. It's important to keep the distinction. So if you look at the chart, an easy way to tell if a verb is weak or if it's strong is asking yourself, does it add ed to make the past tense? If it does, it's weak. If it changes internally in English, it's strong. So, over here on this side, the red verbs are all weak, and we can test this by putting it in the past tense. Jump, jumped. Kick, kicked. Open, opened. Clean, cleaned. Type, typed. Those are all weak verbs because they create the past tense by adding ed. In English, a strong verb changes internally. Eat, ate. Drive, drove. Run, ran. Fly, flew. Go, went. So the good news is, the rule of thumb is, if a verb is strong in English, it's probably strong in German. If a verb is weak in English, it's probably weak in German. Now, there are some exceptions to this, but it's a great rule of thumb to ask yourself, is this verb weak in English? If so, it's probably weak in German. So, in German, weak verbs are formed by adding ge to the front of the infinitive and t at the end. For example, machen becomes gemacht. Kaufen becomes gekauft. So we are going to form the present perfect past participles for these verbs in the chart. These are our weak verbs. Weak verbs add ge to the front and t at the end. Machen, hat gemacht. Kaufen, hat gekauft. Spielen, hat gespielt. Lernen, hat gelernt. Tanzen, hat getanzt. This hat here represents the have. For example, in English we would say have talked, have jumped, have kicked. Strong verbs are formed by adding ge at the front, and instead of a t, they add an en to the end. Sometimes they change internally. Sometimes they don't. So here's our example. Fliegen ist geflogen. And we'll talk about this ist here in a little bit. But the strong verb adds a ge to the beginning, adds an en to the end, and sometimes changes internally. Sprechen, hat gesprochen. Ge at the front, en at the back, and this one does change internally. Gehen ist gegangen. Schreiben, with an I here, schreiben becomes hat geschrieben. The IE switch spots. Ge at the front, en at the end. Nehmen, hat genommen. Changes internally, adds en and ge. So, weak verbs, ge at the front, t at the end, no change internally. Strong verbs, ge at the front, en at the back, sometimes they change internally, sometimes they don't. So, The rules are, if it is strong in English, it will probably be strong in German. So ask yourself the question, run, ran. Yep, strong. It's also strong in German. Play, played. Ed ending, weak verb. It's also weak in German. Watch out for the auxiliary verb. That's the ist or the hat in front of the verb. That's what you're going to conjugate. The past participle, and that's the GE verb, gemacht, geflogen. The GE past participle is always the last word in the sentence. The haben or the sein or the hat and the ist, that's in the normal verb position, and that's what you're going to conjugate. So let's take a look at some of these sentences. Gestern Morgen blank ich 5:50 Uhr blank. Yesterday morning, what do you think I did yesterday morning at 5:50? I got up. So the verb for to get up is aufstehen, and the past participle is ist aufgestanden. When you have a separable prefix verb, the GE goes in the split. So it's going to look like this. So what I did here, the verb was ist aufgestanden. So I conjugated ist for ich, and I put it here where the verb normally goes. And then my past participle is the last thing in the sentence. So gestern Morgen bin ich 5:50 Uhr aufgestanden. That is, I got up yesterday at 5:50. Past tense. So the next one is, ich blank 3 Tassen Kaffee blank. What do you think I did to 3 cups of coffee? I drank them. So the verb for to drink is trinken, hat getrunken. So I take that hat and I conjugate it for ich, and I get habe, and then I put my past participle at the end of the sentence. So ich habe 3 Tasse Kaffee getrunken. Mit meinem Auto blank ich zur Schule blank. I drove my car to school. So the verb for to drive is fahren. The past participle is ist gefahren. So I take the ist and I conjugate it for ich, and I get bin, and then I put my past participle at the end. Zum Abendessen blank ich Brot blank. What do you think I did to a piece of bread? I ate it. The past tense for to eat is hat gegessen. Hat gegessen. So I take that hat and I conjugate it for ich, and I get habe, and then the past participle goes at the end. 22 Uhr blank bin ich, um 22 Uhr blank ich ins Bett blank. I went to bed at 10 o'clock. So the verb is gehen, and the past participle is ist gegangen. So I take that ist and I conjugate it for ich, and I get bin, and then I put the past participle at the end. And that is all there is to the present perfect in German. So the large part of our work for this unit is going to be memorizing all of these verbs. I hope that was clear. If you have any questions, just email me.